There are all sorts of unknowns you need to contend with during the real estate development process, but land entitlement risk is perhaps the most daunting. Anytime you're developing a property from scratch, changing an existing property's use, redeveloping, or converting a property, well, there are a series of municipal and state and federal permits and approvals you need to get before you can begin work. That's a time-consuming process, and really, it presents a number of unique challenges from both a risk and capital requirement perspective. So in this video, I want to set the stage and define land entitlement risk, but more importantly, discuss a couple of potential strategies that you can employ to help you manage it on your next project. What's up everyone? It's Matt Marsh, founder of Marsh & Partners. Marsh & Partners is a development and national consulting firm that helps business owners and investors maximize their real estate and transform their businesses. Now, if you're enjoying what we're doing here and want to keep seeing more content like this, please hit that like button, share this video and our other videos with people you might find some value in it. So I want to first start by talking about the kinds of challenges you might face when getting a project approved. Consider the land entitlement process and the many government agencies that have a say in how it happens. You have the local planning department, different local government agencies like environmental, public utilities, engineers, stormwater, the fire department, etc., and ultimately city council. But in some cases, you might also have to work with state and federal agencies like the Department of Transportation or the Army Corps of Engineers. Now, that's quite a few different personalities you need to navigate, and a lot of potential bureaucratic red tape that adds friction to the overall process. And in order to break ground on a project, a real estate developer needs to obtain all site plan and construction drawing approvals, building permits, and any other permits required by governing agencies. Not only is it costly and time intensive, but it's laden with risk due to the often convoluted nature of government rules and the uncertainty of dealing with government officials. Consider too another wild card, the local community. Depending on the type of project you're proposing, you may actually have to deal with resistance from the public. This resistance can snowball if local representatives rally behind the community or if the media gets involved. And community resistance can be a challenge to predict on the front end, but it can be even more difficult to manage in real time. So as you craft your real estate development strategy, it's important to consider and implement a couple of land entitlement risk mitigation strategies to minimize the pain from a project's inevitable snafus. So let's dive right in. No real estate developer successfully completes a project by themselves. There are various key players with distinct roles and responsibilities that contribute to a project. But ultimately, as the real estate developer, it's up to you to put the right team together for the project. First, and probably most importantly, you want to make sure that the team is comprised of service providers that have experience in the type of development and the municipality for your project. When you're trying to find the right civil engineer, it will also be important to assess their political connections, especially depending on really the kind of project you're pursuing, because a well-connected engineer will often help expedite the approval and permitting processes and can help get even the most challenging projects approved. A land use attorney won't be involved in every project. If, for instance, the property's zoning or allowed land use facilitates your desired project, it may not be necessary to consult with an attorney. If your proposed project doesn't adhere to the prescribed development standards though, a land use attorney can help you navigate this. Really, they're experts in all matters pertaining to land and land use, zoning laws, and municipal development guidelines. So not only could they help you jump through some of the hoops you might experience during a project, it may also be worthwhile to consult an attorney on the front end to help you anticipate any potential challenges that may arise. Every municipality has a vision for how they see their growth and evolution in the future. Most codify it in what's called a future land use plan. Essentially, that's a long-term plan offering policy guidance for growth and development. And as a real estate developer, understanding the land use plan is a key step for any comprehensive real estate due diligence process. Because a project that's tailored to or meets the municipality's future land use vision, it will generally have a higher likelihood of being approved. And if you're changing a property's use or rezoning it and face pushback from the local community, well, the city council will often defer to their future growth plan when making policy decisions. Before you undertake any type of project, It's critical to understand what types of similar projects have been attempted, whether they were successful, and most importantly, why or why not they were successful. It's similar to the competitive analysis you'd conduct as part of your real estate development feasibility study. But instead of focusing on the competition, you'll focus on the project outcomes and ultimately the process developers took to get there. As you investigate recent completed projects that are similar to yours in your area, you want to answer a couple of key questions. First, did the project require any sort of rezoning or change in land use? Second, was there pushback on the project from the planning department or city council? Third, how did the local community respond to the proposed project? And fourth, were there any major project changes that resulted from public or private sector pushback? Now, much of this is publicly available information. You can also reach out to the developer or other key players in the project to try to gather some of this data. And ultimately, the answers to these questions may dictate what kind of project you can pursue and how exactly you need to approach the land entitlement process. Every local planning department and city council have their own personality and set of priorities. And as towns and cities grow, development design standards usually tighten, making projects more difficult and expensive to accomplish. Now, it's also important to understand that every individual council person comes from a different background and has their own individual concerns, distinct from those of the overall council. What kinds of issues did those council members run on? Was it to provide more access to affordable housing, or maybe to reduce friction during the permitting and approval processes by ultimately reducing bureaucratic inefficiencies? Or maybe it was actually to make development and growth more challenging. The point is that you'll need to weigh the prescribed development regulations against the priorities of the local government officials to determine the best course of action to move forward on a project. Because if you can work with local leaders as opposed to against them, you'll have a much higher likelihood of getting a project approved. Now, we have a ton of additional information on land entitlement, the land entitlement process, and other resources to help you better understand getting your real estate development projects approved. You can book some time on my calendar if you want to discuss your project or how our land entitlement services can help you navigate development approvals. Now, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel. That will keep you up to date on content to help you through your real estate development and investing journey. You can also check out our website for more real estate insights at marsh-partners.com. Feel free, leave me a comment if there are any other topics you're interested in or you'd like me to cover. And again, don't forget to subscribe if you want more content like this, and thanks for watching.